Once again, 3 in a row has evaded Rangers. This time, it was welcomed. However, the hat-trick of defeats has been avoided and 3 points has been earned. Graeme Murty and his players may feel that one has been proven as well. This meeting with Aberdeen had stood out on the fixture list for some time, but the talk of Derek McInnes potentially returning to Ibrox and successive Premiership defeats had added extra layers of intrigue ahead of the Light Blues' annual general meeting. Rangers had been written off in many quarters. The narrative changed to a positive one at Ibrox, though, as 2 goals from James Tavernier and 1 from Carlos Peña earned Murty's side a significant and thoroughly deserved victory. The aftermath of the defeats to Hamilton and Dundee haven't made for pleasant reading for Murty. His players are the Ibrox board as anger levels amongst supporters have reached a crescendo. This one was a must-win for a whole host of reasons. Murty didn't get the reaction he demanded from his players at Dens Park on Friday night, but Rangers certainly stormed out of the traps this time around. The interim boss had tweaked his formation as Bruno Alves and Peña returned to the side, with Ross McCrory moving forward into a holding midfield role. It is one the youngster performed whilst on loan at Dumbarton last term. But this was a far tougher test under the Ibrox floodlights. He passed with flying colours. It was Rangers who had all the attacking intent early on as McInnes' side were pegged back in their own half and created very little, against a team that many viewed as there for the taking. It was a strangely subdued approach from the Dons. Josh Windass almost had the Gers ahead inside the opening minute as he threw himself at a Tavernier cross from the right. He couldn't connect or convert, but Rangers didn't need to wait long for their goal, and it was Tavernier that got it as he slotted home from 12 yards. Whistler Andrew Dallas had no choice but to award a penalty when Greg Tansey wiped out Jason Holt, and Tavernier's strike was straight down the middle as keeper Joe Lewis went to his right. It was a dream start for Rangers, and Lewis had to make a flying save to deny Peña as he found space 25 yards out and rifled a shot towards goal. The keeper was beaten by Windass minutes later, but the offside flag denied him a goal. It was another let-off for Aberdeen, but it wasn't one that they could make the most of as Rangers doubled their tally before the half-hour mark. It was more than deserved. Holt, the standout performer in the first half, provided the assist from the right this time, and Peña marked his return to the team with a clinical finish as he found space inside the area and beat Lewis with a low shot into the corner of the net. The sight and sound of Ibrox in full voice has been a rare one this season, but the light blue Legions finally had a performance to be encouraged with as Aberdeen were left with a mountain to climb. It was far from the showing that McInnes and the travelling Dons support would have expected, but there were plenty of positives for Murty in the opposite dugout. The game would have been beyond Aberdeen if Lewis hadn't rushed from his line to deny Windass, and that save ensured McInnes' side still had a chance despite being outplayed for the first half hour. Rangers scrambled the ball clear after Ryan Christie whipped in a free kick, while Stevie May had a low effort from an Andy Considine cross. Just before the whistle, Gary Mackay-Steven, on for Tansey seconds before, saw appeals for a penalty waved away by Dallas. The winger was furious with the decision and was booked for sprinting after the referee and repeatedly stressing his case. Mackay-Steven was booed by the home crowd when he got on the ball just after the restart, but Rangers cleared his cross before Anthony O'Connor fired wide from distance. Aberdeen were more competitive and were showing more attacking intent, but it was Rangers that had the best chance before the hour mark as Danny Wilson flicked a Windass corner into the arms of Lewis. Tensions began to rise as the card count steadily increased. The finishing line was edging ever nearer for Rangers, but the job wasn't complete just yet. Murty made his first change as Daniel Candeias replaced Carlos Peña, and the Light Blues geared up for the closing stages and looked to see the game out. It was to prove a comfortable last 20 minutes, though, as Tavernier got his second of the night to secure the points and give Murty something to cheer. After a tough fortnight, Windass had made the most of his return to a central berth with one of his best displays for some time, and it was the midfielder who provided the cross for the final goal of the game. As Tavernier swept the ball beyond Lewis, the roar of celebration would have been followed by a sigh of relief from Murty. There was still time for Aberdeen's night to get even worse, and Christie picked up a second booking. As the Dons finished with 10 men, Windass was given a warm reception as Ryan Hardy replaced him for the final few minutes. The roar that greeted the final whistle was the one that everyone, from the touchline to the director's box, was most pleased to hear, though.